Hey, what's up guys, Alex here. Thank you for checking this video and welcome to the 20th episode of the series of tutorial WordPress 101 for beginner developers. Have you ever heard about MonsterEyed? MonsterEyed is basically WordPress on steroids. With this product you can build easily everything from a single blog page to a gigantic e-commerce to sell your product online. If you don't want to waste time and you're looking for a product that it works out of the box and is really solid, I suggest you to try MonsterEyed. Click on this video to learn more and access a 10% discount for MonsterEyed or whatever other theme you decided to purchase from the template Monster repository. Welcome again. In this tutorial we're going to talk about the custom taxonomies. If you remember, or if you checked the previous tutorials, the episode 18 and 19, we talked about a custom post type. The custom post type gave us the ability to create a completely new post type, different from posts or pages or media or comments. We created our own totally custom post type. In my case, I created a portfolio. Right now, if I access a single item of the portfolio post type and I want to edit the category or the tag, you will notice that here we have the same exact categories, and if we click here to choose the most used tags, we're going to have the same exact tags that a single post, that these categories and these tags belong to the post. And this thing most of the time doesn't work, because if you create a custom post type, you cannot use, or it's better not to use, the same categories from another post type, in this case the just generic posts. The custom taxonomy option gives us the ability to create customized categories and tags. Basically, a taxonomy is a term that includes all the secondary options of a specific post type. So we have categories, tags, terms, and other options that you can check totally inside the codex of WordPress. Today we're gonna check on how to create a specific category for the post type portfolio and a specific tag name for the same custom post type portfolio. So let's open our text editor, and basically, just to give you a quick preview, we have to do exactly the same as we did to generate a custom post type. So create a function, write label, arguments, register the post type. In our case, we have to register a custom taxonomy, and then create an action to initialize the function that we created. So here, if you notice in the declaration of our custom post types, we have an argument here in the args variable array that we can specify what kind of taxonomies we want to activate for this specific custom post types. And because I activated the taxonomy of category and post tag, we're going to have the same category and post tags from the post type. But in our case, we don't want this one anymore, because we don't want to use the same categories or post tags, and we're gonna write something custom. So for now, we can just comment this line, save it. Let's go take a look in our administration panel. You will see that here we don't have anymore the option to select a category or a post tag. So now we can proceed without the fear of this taxonomy's declaration to interfere with our custom taxonomy. So first, we have to create the usual function that, as I always suggest, apply to your functions a unique name to avoid repetition of or other plugins or users or developers to use your same function. So in my case, I want to create the function called function, of course, awesome underscore custom underscore taxonomies. No arguments for this function, and let's open it. So we have the option to create two types of taxonomies. The first type can be a hierarchical, and the second type can be not hierarchical. A hierarchical taxonomy type is basically a category. You can put parent and child categories between each other. You can have a parent-child relationship, and tags cannot have a parent-child relationship. So we're going to create both. The first one is going to be hierarchical. The second one is not going to be hierarchical. So we can take a look at everything we need. Bear in mind that also the taxonomies has a lot of arguments. So also this lesson is going to be kind of long, kind of complicated, but bear with me for these 20 minutes or so, and you're going to learn a lot about taxonomies. So let's put comment here to write add new taxonomy hierarchical. And here instead I want to add new taxonomy. It's a complicated word, taxonomy. This is wrong. Taxonomy, not hierarchical. Perfect. Okay, now we can start. Let's create our usual labels. Equal. Inside we have to open an array because the labels requires an array of arguments. Let's immediately close with a semicolon at the end of the array, and let's start our list of arguments. So first, the first label is the name, as usual, and our name can be, for example, I have to create a custom taxonomy that is basically a custom category for my portfolio. I want to specify a different type of work. So let's call it just simply type. And for type, I mean, can be a design work or a development work, can be a logo, can be a prototype, can be a print design. So let's say just type, just to not use category. Otherwise, this will be kind of a repetition. Is better. Avoid to use a custom taxonomy with the same name of a pre-existing taxonomy. And here we have the other argument that is singular name. And oops, I missed a little symbol here. Use the error. This is the symbol to put inside. Singular name is still type. Oh, the generic name of a taxonomy is always plural. As categories, this one has to be types. So that's why we have to specify the singular name that has to be type, or like the singular version of whatever name you decide to use. Search, the other parameter is the search items label. And the search items is going to be search types, comma. The other parameter is all items. As you notice while I'm writing this thing, all these labels are basically related to the administration panel. So you need to specify these if you want to heavily customize the experience in your administration panel. If you don't care about this, you can skip, you can avoid it, just declare maybe the name and the singular names. All the other items, you can leave it like that. And WordPress is going to use the default one that are not customized for your custom taxonomy. But in this way, you can completely customize the experience of your custom taxonomy and post type and give the user a better customized experience in your WordPress administration panel. So because this one is a hierarchical, I decided to do hierarchical. I need to specify also a parent item. In my case, it's gonna just simply be parent type. It's pretty simple and maybe pretty boring, but let's keep doing it because we have to learn also the boring stuff and not just the super funny things. So the other parameter is parent item colon. It basically is just the same name of the parent type, but with the colon at the end. Edit item label. It's gonna be, as usual, edit as a string, always as a string, edit type. The other parameter is update item and update type. Let's scroll down here, so it's going to be at the center of your screen, and probably you can read it better. The other one, we can specify the label for add new item. So when we create a new custom type or custom taxonomy, we can write add new type. And of course, if you want, like, as you can see here, I'm like basically leaving everything as it is, like as simple as possible. But here you can completely customize the text that you want to use. You're not forced to use the same name of your custom taxonomy. You can write, for example, a new work section if it's better, like work type or whatever you want. Or you can use actually a new category if you want to use as a label category, but keep the name as types. It's totally up to you. For me, just to keep it simple and consistent, I will always use the same name of my custom taxonomy. So it's easier to remember, it's easy to query in the front end, and it's just better for me. But of course, you have the freedom. The other parameter is new item name. And here it's gonna be new type name. And the last parameter of our labels is the menu name. The menu name is the one, of course, appears always, as usual, in the administration panel. And type. We can put a comma at the end or not. Sometimes I leave a comment because I don't know if I want to add other parameters, other arguments to my labels variables, but you can also, because it's the last statement, is the last variable attribute of this array, you can leave it without a comma. It doesn't matter, it's not going to trigger an error. The second variable that I have to create is the usual args, that is the arguments. Also this variable, of course, you can name it as you want. You can name it also like arguments if you want the full name, but let's use args because it's kind of a standard for WordPress. Always an array, and put a semicolon at the end. And now we have the important part, the settings, the arguments that WordPress needs to create the proper custom taxonomy. So the first one we have to specify if this custom taxonomy is hierarchical or not. So we have to write, and be careful for typos, hierarchical, it's equal to true. So this one doesn't have to be stated as a string because this is a boolean, so accept only true or false as a parameter, but not as a string. So be careful, don't put it as a string or you're gonna break the internet. Or maybe not, just your theme probably. You're gonna break your theme for sure. Labels, we have to include the massive variables that we created before with all the labels that we decided. We have the option to show the UI, the user interface, in the menu of the administration panel. And of course, I want to show the UI so the user, the administrator, can access these custom taxonomy and write whatever they want. And we have to specify also, connected to the show UI, we have to specify if we want to show the admin column, and also this parameter is true because we want to show it, of course. We have the parameter as in the post type, also in the taxonomy, the query var. If we want to activate the ability to create custom queries and directly query this custom taxonomy. I want to do that because I need to print this taxonomy in my front end, so I need to specify this variable as a true. And I have also the option to rewrite the slug of my custom taxonomy. And by rewriting the slug, we can have a nice permalink with the slug of my custom taxonomy before the actual custom taxonomy. So for example, let's write it as a comment here. If our installation is mysite.com/whatever, if I click on a taxonomy without a rewrite, this taxonomy, if this like custom taxonomy, for example, is development, I'm gonna have mysite.com/development. If I rewrite the slug and as a slug I specify type, I'm gonna have mysite.com/type/development. And this is way better. This part here, this slug, this entire permalink is way more readable than this one. Is better for SEO, and it's also better for users that they can identify immediately where they are. So let's always use a rewrite, and let's put as a variable, the rewrite accepts an array of arguments, and the only arguments that we want to specify is the slug. And my slug is gonna be, of course, lowercase, the name, the singular name of my custom taxonomy. And also this one is the last parameter, so we can put a comma or not, it doesn't really matter. But just remember, if you decide to add another arguments here, remember to put a comma or you're gonna trigger an error in PHP. Now that we have our labels and our arguments, we can just register the taxonomy with a pre-made hook from WordPress that, as we used here to register the post type, we have to simply write register_taxonomy. And here we can specify all the information that we need. So the first thing that we have to specify is the actual name of the taxonomy. So because I always use type everywhere, the name is going to be type. And usually the name is better to match exactly the slug that we use in our rewrite argument. So let's not use a different name for a taxonomy with a different slug. That could create confusion for you and WordPress. The second parameter is the object type. The object type gives us the ability to specify which post type we want to attach this custom taxonomy. So here we can specify an array of values. So if, for example, I want to add these types, these category types, these taxonomy types to posts and pages, I have to write post, comma, and page, because these are the post types that I want to activate. But because I want to activate this custom taxonomy only for my custom post type that is portfolio, I have to specify the name, only the name of my custom post type. So this custom taxonomy is going to be applied only to my portfolio custom post type and not to every other post types. And here, of course, we have to put all the arguments, the variable that contains all the labels and all the parameters that we specified before, semicolon. And let's add, before adding the not hierarchical taxonomy, let's add the action to create this taxonomy and see the result. So add action hook as usual. And also this one has to happen during the initialization of our WordPress theme. And here we have to specify as a string the custom function name that we created. Paste it here. Save it. Let's go in our administration panel, reload the portfolio, and look at here what appears. Type, because it's the name that I specified as my custom category, as my custom singular name. I can change this, of course. The menu name is this one. I can put types if I want a different menu name, refresh, and it's types. If I click on it, of course, it's going to be empty, but if you notice here, I have all the parameters that are specified. So I have add new type, that is the same exact label that I specified here. If I put add new work type and I refresh, it's gonna be add new work type. So see, you can totally customize everything from scratch. And you will notice that sometimes WordPress uses categories for some section. For example, here, like no categories found, because we didn't specify the label for like no items found, and WordPress is gonna automatically roll back to the default hierarchical category taxonomy, that in this case is categories. But let's create a new category, like for example, design, and the slug is gonna be automatically design, non-parent, add new work type. We'll see here, design, okay, let's go back, let's add development, new, let's add print, add new, and I wanna create just as a test, like logo design, and let's put as a parent, design, add new work type, and see is a parent of this one. And just to take a look, let's go in the posts, and in the categories, we're not gonna have any type, not even in the page, because as we specified during the registering of the taxonomy, we specify only the portfolio custom post type. So these types are gonna be associated only to the portfolio. And if we access one single item of our portfolio, we're gonna have types here, and we can select the type that we want. So in my case, this is design, logo design, just design, update, and we have this amazing new thing. And of course, because we use the pre-built custom taxonomy of WordPress, we can use the built-in functionality to add a new custom work type with the same option that WordPress has for the categories. And this is pretty great, right? So also for today's lesson is pretty much it. In the next lesson, we're going to take a look at the second part of the custom taxonomy, where we're going to create a non-hierarchical taxonomy that is basically a post tags cloud or something like that. And then at the end, we're going to finally take a look on how to print our taxonomies inside our front end and how to do research or filter our custom post type based on the taxonomy selected. So thank you again for checking this video. I hope you enjoy. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up or subscribe to my channel. And if you have a question, just leave it a comment. I will try to answer to everyone. And until the next lesson, happy coding.